down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Down with OTC. Down with OTC.
Man,
hey, welcome to OTC on the chain. We are here. We are live here with co-host Chip, and we got special guest Nick Prouten.
Prouten.
Right?
Close
Prouten.
enough. You did better than
Prouten. There we go.
Yeah.
Prouten. I got it from
just
LODE
keep it
with
easy.
protein. Goes strict with the protein.
You have a correct
so
to do a protein.
I did the name correction on the open. How do you like that? We haven't done anything yet. We're live. Okay, so tonight we are going to be we're going to talk about silver-backed stable coins, and one in specific. That's why we brought Nick on, this LODE project, which is really interesting. We haven't talked about a silver-backed digital asset up to this point. There's gold-backed. There's all these, others. There's the Tether, which who knows if it's backed by anything. But we're excited to talk about this. We love getting into projects and learning something new in the space. I know all of our viewers that are on with us tonight also love that. If you guys have questions, make sure you throw them into the comments. And Chip, I think we're ready to kick this thing off.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain with Jeff and Chip.
All right, we're back.
Wait, we have one more open to play, Nick. Just one more.
Let's go. Let's go to the beginning.
One more time.
One more time. Let's go. The next one is a 5-minute open. That's like an intermission after we get started.
Guys, you guys are worse than cable television.
Right. We used to have catchy tunes, though,
No, those are good.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. So,
yeah. Yeah,
welcome.
Nick, it's great to have you here, all the
No,
way
it's a
from
pleasure.
British
Thank you
Columbia.
guys for having us, or thank you guys for having me and letting me talk about LODE and the industry at large. Great show. So yeah, eager to dive into it, guys.
That's very cool. So so I mean, where do we start? There's a lot to unpack here. You know what? Let's open it up with before we get into LODE. So there's a whole ecosystem, right? We've got DeFi, we have, all the altcoins. Of course, we got the king, Bitcoin. Just kind of curious where you stand on some of the more alt projects, like let's say, XRP, XTC, Ether, Bitcoin. Where do you stand on some of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, when I look at projects, and any projects, period, crypto or otherwise, to invest in, I'm looking at what is the real value that this is bringing into the world. What is the real value prop here? And it's and that's basically how I base my whole portfolio off of. It's a really simple logic. Bitcoin, it has this. It is obviously got first mover advantage. It's a granddaddy. I think there are a lot of blockchains out there that are more sophisticated, can go faster, do more stuff. But Bitcoin was like this rallying cry for the power and the potential of blockchain technology, and ergo, I think it deserves its rightful place as a great store of value. Not exactly the best medium of exchange. Ethereum, I look at Ethereum right now like kind of like Apple pre-iPhone, like Microsoft is kicking its butt. But if Ethereum can overcome some of the scalability issues it has right now, I think it will be an absolute monster. Not that it's not already, right? It's one of the most widely adopted cryptos out there and platform blockchains out there. XRP, really clear use case right from the get-go. You didn't have a lot of this self-discovery process that you have with the open source blockchains. They were immediately like, this is what we are, this is what we intend to do. Half the crypto community was like, you're the Antichrist. But I was like, no, that's a real practical application for business that in an industry that is not going anywhere. So yeah, I'm a believer in altcoins. It's just I'm not a big fan of shit coins, right? Have a real use case, have a real intended purpose, and yeah, you're likely to get a little bit of my money from investments.
Exactly. Right.
That's
Do
a
it
perfect
right.
statement. Yeah, I like that, Nick. One of the things that we always talk about here is that there's certain projects out there that are solutions in search of problems, and those would be your shit coins. And then you've got projects that are solutions that are actually solutions of problems. And they're trying to get and solve it, and that's an important part. And those, over the history of time, it's those types of projects that get traction. Well, we hope that they get traction. Not all of them will, but even through the 90s and the internet boom, you had a lot of projects out there that were solutions, and they had no idea what they were a solution for.
Exactly. And where are they now? The other interesting thing that's kind of different is, don't get me wrong, it doesn't necessarily have to be that your project is entirely blockchain based for you to have investment from me. If you produce an altcoin, right? Essentially, blockchain is a vehicle. Cryptocurrencies are largely at this point in time financial instruments that utilize this technology. So if you want to put a security on a blockchain, and or you want to crowdfund a big project through a blockchain, like, I'm all for it. That stuff brings credibility and adoption to the space. But you can see the bad actors and the bad faith players from a mile away at this point. So yeah,
Certainly can.
One other project I'll say that kind of piqued my interest. They recently also just went through a lawsuit with the SEC, I believe, is Kin.
Kin token, yeah.
Kin token.
Yep.
So coming out of Kick, for one, fellow Canadian company. So it's got my love. It's got my love there. But their methodology for building out their blockchain, I think, is really smart. They immediately went for SDKs and getting this built into a huge variety of mobile apps, using the capital that they had to fund development of projects that would utilize their platform. And I just think that logic is so smart. So they're a bit of a moonshot for sure. I think 10 trillion in circulation or something to that effect. So no Lambos on the moon in the near to immediate
No,
future.
but I got to tell you, One thing I appreciate about those guys kicked, and I was like, it was kind of funny too, because they're like Canadians, but they were kicking the crap out of the SEC. They're like, we'll come at you guys. We'll bring the best attorneys. We're going to destroy you in court. Like they really were talking. And I was kind of like, guys, I might kind of tone that down a little bit. But in hindsight, it was freaking brilliant, right? Because I mean, they just took a $5 million fine, which at the end of the day, they might have paid more in legal fees, right? I mean, if they, with their attorneys, I'm like, they really got hammered, as far as attorneys fees. And at the end, it was like pay a $5 million fine. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's about the image that it represented to the entire space, right? Like anytime the SEC goes after a project, it has the ability to impact the entire space at large. And this lawsuit was really, really dragged out. So we're talking about 2018, 2019, when this thing basically started to get rumored about. And back then, now the SEC is like, wakes up in the morning, points their gun at a project and fires. But back then it was like, I feel like they went to bat for the entire community to say, no, this was legitimate. We didn't do anything wrong. And, it may have cost them a lot of money at the end of the day, but I think all things considered, they came out on top. If I had to weigh the odds.
Hey Nick, I don't know. Can you get a little closer to your mic, or I guess the volume on your end? Let's see,
how's this? A little better?
Oh man, that's a lot better. Yeah,
night and day.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. I like it. Nice and deep.
Oh yeah, and that very white.
Very white. What's going on? Hello, people. Yeah. So that's all really good. So it's cool. We're kind of tripping through a little bit on what's going on in the SEC. So the whole DeFi space, smart contracts, a lot of cool stuff happening there. Are you that familiar with Flare at all?
To be honest, there's so much going on in the space
hard
right
to
now.
Keep up.
Yeah, it is hard to keep up, and that's a good thing, right? And that's a good thing. Where I focus largely, I'm COO for LODE, so I largely live in the world of operations, product design, marketing, and our industry, or our project at large, is focused on two things: precious metals and putting those on a blockchain and putting those out into the world in the 21st century way, and payments, right? So we're building an entire payments ecosystem that's going to take this digital gold and digital silver and make it practical for people to use. And anybody with a little bit of history behind them can probably remember a time when they came off the gold standard, right? And part of the core of the project was really about getting in, believing that money was better back when it had something tangible behind it. But we'll dive into that a bit. Back to your earlier question, no, I'm not presently aware of what Flare is doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not quite out yet, but the reason I was asking is because if you were holding XRP, they did do a snapshot and they were doing like a drop for holders. Now what they're basically doing is it's a DeFi project where a smart contract platform that's interoperable with Ethereum, that you'll also be able to, they're also bringing some other coins into the ecosystem, as XRP, Litecoin, believe it or not, Doge. They actually gave Doge a use case. So you'll be able to bring in Doge, give 2.5 stack collateral, and be able to earn off that a smart contract. So I was like, the joke turned into an actual real use case.
I know. It's like the little meme that could,
it just won't stop, man. It's like, and then you got Elon Musk out there, giving his
he those pushed it again, man. He pumped it.
Those Doge memes though are great, man. The one where he had like the Lion King one where he had him and Snoop Dogg, and that was like probably the greatest meme that in recent times. I just loved it.
Yeah, no,
it was good stuff. Let's
you gotta love it if you have a project with a nice mascot. Right, there's no other project. You got a dog. Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Last night we had. I mean, it's interesting though. You know what I mean? Like, as don't get me wrong. Again, not hating on anyone's wealth appreciation. If you made bank on Dogecoin, great for you. That being said, I would look at that as like an advanced token because it does have an unlimited supply and you can get burned. It's risky for newbies to play with a dog like that. I would say.
Be careful.
Oh yeah, it is. Well, especially where it sits right now at 6 cents. Who would have thought? That the Doge would be at 6 cents.
Well, let's dive a little bit into LODE because it's a very interesting project. Jeff and I were kind of looking at it. That's why we have some questions and stuff. But, as Jeff mentioned earlier, you know, there's the silver, the one that's backed by silver, right? There's a LODE token. Then there's the AUX, which I believe that says 1 milligram weight of vaulted, audited, insured, verified gold bullion.
Yep.
Is that right?
So, yeah. So we've actually got 3 assets. I'll break it down. One is the equity. One is the equity asset, which is your LODE token, right? And that is regulated as a bond. And you know, we've worked hand in hand with regulators for 4 years to do it the right.
And the SEC, right?
Yep, and the SEC.
Is this going to be legit in the U.S.?
Yeah, we are
Is it
legitimate in the United States. Yeah.
Nice.
We also are regulated under the BaFin in Europe through a tied agency agreement with CM Equities, who also does work with finance, I believe. So they're not an unfamiliar name to the space either. That's the one asset. And what we do with the capital that we raise is we use that to acquire precious metals, silver, gold, bullion, right? In fact, in the earliest days of the project, you could only purchase LODE tokens with silver or gold bullion. And then once we had vaulted that and accounted for that asset, for the physical metal in our vaults, of which there are 8 worldwide, we then took it and we tokenized it, right? We took a little bit aside for operations because, you know, in order to build a massive global payments infrastructure, you gotta use the capital you raise. And then with the remainder of it, we tokenize that into our digital silver, which is AGX, and our digital gold, AUX. And those are our 2 stable coins. AGX are 1 gram of audited, vaulted, and insured silver. AUX, as you said, is 1 milligram of gold.
I'm up there for so you can throw the banner up there. Let's see. There you go.
Boom. Brilliant. Making
There
it
you
easy.
I like
There
it.
it is right there. So if anybody wants to take a look at that.
Borderless. You say you reference it, borderless digital money.
Yep. I mean, if you look back in history, gold and silver are pretty much universal forms of currency. And, you know, we're not pirates anymore, so we don't carry around treasure chests and, you know, have, you know, huge pouches on the side of our hips. But, you know, through blockchain and through technology, we can make that stuff liquid again. And we think it's a much, much better standard in that it is what we like to call honest money, because there's inherent value to it. It's and because of, again, the power of blockchain, we're able to present it in a distributed manner, which takes supply and control of currency out of the hands of a small body of people. Yes, right now we're building it up. It's a corporate entity. I get that. But the community has a plan to reach critical mass and then actually step back from the leadership role and have it be communally driven. It's just that in these early days, you gotta bootstrap things. You gotta get it to a certain threshold where it's able to operate autonomously before you can just release it into the wild.
Agreed.
Where, if you want to, sorry, Chip, if you wanted to load, where would you go?
Yeah, for sure. Best place to go is LODE.1. Click on register, get an account going in 15 seconds, and off the races. I mean, you do got to do your basic KYC. Because again, it is a security and it's there to protect you. It's there to protect us. Just make sure that we all get along and play nicely together. And you're not from North Korea. Sorry, guys. But then it's a really easy process of being able to just purchase with your credit card, purchase with your with potentially through a bullion dealer if you're interested in just directly contributing precious metals, or you can actually deliver precious metals that you already own. So you know, we like to put it like putting your idle silver and gold to work. Right. So lots of silver gold stackers out there will probably have, you know, ounces and ounces of gold and silver that are just collecting dust and not doing anything. And by putting it to work in this system, you know, you yield a dividend in digital silver. So I think that's a pretty provocative idea, you know, to yield a dividend in actual precious metals.
That is pretty interesting. Wow. So the price is actually, so what's the price tied to? So for AUX or, you know, AGX, the price is tied directly to its equivalent in either silver or the gold. Is that how you guys, is it on parity with that? I mean, is that pretty much how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's on parity with the silver gold value. Here's the thing as well, in these early days, we do have a little bit of a retail model at the moment prior to getting up to the point where we're going into circulation with exchanges. In fact, we just did our first announcement of our first public exchange, the Hotbit exchange, that we'll be listing on. And we have negotiations ongoing with several others by the end of this year. So it's a really exciting time for the project. So in the precious metals world, what happens is when you go to make a purchase of precious metals, they're going to charge you a premium, right? They're that spot value. Good luck trying to actually get your hands on a gram of physical silver for the price that they tell you on there, right? The paper market is not an accurate representation. And that's part of the reason why this whole gold, silver squeeze that's been taking place on Wall Street silver that spun out of Wall Street bets is taking place, is because metals are highly manipulated and the prices are highly suppressed. Getting a little bit on a tangent there, but
Just going to bring that up about the suppression of the paper. It's a very unknown thing, but it is being artificially suppressed, right? Accumulation, artificially suppressed. You never get that spot price. It's really good stuff you're bringing up here, Nick, because I think that anybody that's actually been out there looking for that or looking to purchase has kind of run into those particular issues. So,
well, I mean, you're totally right for one, but for two, like bullion dealers are going to charge you a massive premium on one side, right? So 1 ounce coin will probably cost you 50% markup of that spot price. Then you go to retail it and they're probably going to give you a percentage point under spot, right? So you're hemorrhaging cash on both sides, even on the upside. So what we're able to do, because we're able to, get much larger quantities and present it in the digital format, is cut those premium down pretty significantly. And then as we again start to build momentum in the market, we can get much, much closer to that actual spot price. But what we've done is we've built what we like to call our pricing oracle that takes pricing from bullion dealers all around the world, not just in the United States, but Canada, the UK, Singapore, everywhere that you can basically think of. And it looks at the price based on the ounce denomination of the metals. And from that, we're able to derive our pricing, right? We're able to say, okay, this is the real valuation of what silver. This is what you can actually acquire the metal for. And we usually, well, no, not usually, we definitely give people a considerable markdown from that. But that's the technology of how we derive our pricing right now. We're hoping this pricing oracle in the future can just be a tool either bullion dealers use or individuals use when they're going to look at their investments on a practical level, and hopefully bring more honesty back to the market as well. Once again, though, once you're trading on an open exchange, the game changes entirely, right? It's going to be what the market supports, and we acknowledge that, right?
Right.
And the prices will reflect.
So, hey, Nick, so you go on to LODE, you want to look at the assets. You're talking about the oracle to check the pricing. Where would you go to? Do you have an exchange rate somewhere built where you can go onto the website and see a live movement of the valuation?
Yeah,
where would you see that?
LODE.1 website has our price ticker that's active, and that gives us the reading of our pricing.
Where do you find the price ticker?
It's right there.
It's right on the LODE Pay website. It moves across the screen.
You can see it moving across right underneath the main hero image there as you scroll up a little bit. I would show my screen, but I will freeze, Jeff.
Oh, maybe I got to go to my. Yeah, I'm looking for it on the home screen. Hang on a second.
Oh, just throw the screen up there. I'll show you where it is. So you have to zoom, you have to like.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I got it now.
There you go.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, let me pull it up on the screen.
Yeah. So this is averaged out, but what we have is called an economy of scale. So the more you buy, the cheaper it is, the more affordable it gets. And again, the people may be like, okay, why do it this way? Well, at the end of the day, you're still going to be able to redeem this for real physical precious metal. This isn't just a token that you need an unbelievable quantity in order to redeem, right? I think our benchmark is 100 ounces, which really isn't too much in terms of silver, to make a withdrawal, right? And as we get bigger and bigger, we're able to get that lower. So, we need to have some level of protection built in when it comes to these redemptions, so that we're not hemorrhaging cash and people can and run us out.
Okay, I just want to do a quick shout out, old supporter of the show, Farshad Rahani. Thank you very much for that, Farshad. I really appreciate that. Good to see you, man. It's been a while, so I just want to do a big shout out there. So yeah,
absolutely.
So reinventing money. I just capitalized on that tagline because the whole idea of reinventing. The reinventing of money is funny because you brought it up earlier. 1971, Nixon and the U.S. took the U.S. off the gold standard, and then we had mega inflation, and then we had printing. We just print money endlessly, but it's kind of funny. You're reinventing it, but you're really bringing it back down to what matters, right? People always say, "Well, it's got to be backed by something." Well, you could go back 2,000 years. You're going to find gold and silver is going to be the method of choice, right? So it is kind of an interesting thing. And we have noticed a couple of things. We did talk about somebody the other night that we had more of a gold-backed token that Jeff and I were looking at. We hadn't seen before, but the whole idea of, you know, having so I guess the other thing is like you when you purchase it, like where would you put the, like for AGX, where would I store that? Like do you guys have approved wallets, or do you guys have a wallet?
Sure. Yeah, so in the app stores right now, you can look up LODE Pay Mobile. So LODE Payments International is one of our sort of corporate entities, and it's been tasked with developing the software and the platform to make this gold and silver practical and functional. We do really great work with a team from Atomic 47 Labs and Blockchain Foundry, who are some of the core developers behind the Syscoin blockchain. And AGX and AUX presently largely sit on the Syscoin blockchain, which can do 160,000 transactions per second and is a fork of the Bitcoin blockchain. And so through this mobile wallet solution, which again you can download easily from your Android and iOS stores, you can then start purchasing your digital gold and digital silver from there. Again, as soon as we're listed on exchanges, you know, it'll become much easier to do that. We also have lodemarkets.com that we've been building, and we've recently gotten signed on to become a ProFac as well, so that we can offer merchant services. So what we're going to start allowing people to do is accept money in fiat and settle in gold and silver, which is pretty provocative and pretty cool as well. So again, this idea of going back to a gold standard and making this gold and silver practical again. You know, we're trying to develop the technology to from all sides really to bring that to the world.
Where does it actually, so the actual physical gold and silver, where is that housed? How is that, you know, what kind of protection you have, security around that?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So first and foremost, it's all insured. Bottom line, somebody breaks in, and you know, it's Ocean's 11. You know, we're good for the money, right? We're covered. That's why insurance exists.
Right on.
For two, we're distributed, right? So I said we have 8 vaults around the world, and growing. The more regions we go into, shipping gold and silver is really expensive. So the more we can minimize that, the happier we're going to be. But this plays a second role. Some of the preppers out there and some of the non-believers out there will be like, you know, what happens if you know, a government claws back and they say, we're going to take all your gold and silver? Well, our assets are distributed. So we have, you know, risk mitigation built inherently into our systems.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of the decentralization component of things, right? We try to make the metals decentralized as much as we try to make utilize distributed technology, right? Yeah. So hopefully that answers that answers your question there. And we do annual audits, and we're working on bringing more transparency, you know, being honest about things. You know, for example, somebody like PaxG, they're a company that's been around for close to a decade. Their gold asset hasn't been around that long, but they've got some years on us in process and all that. We're getting to the point now where we can, you know, publish audits, put more transparency reports up, and give people that integrity and that transparency that will give people extra confidence. And that's one of the core initiatives for this year, is bringing those kinds of things forward to the community, because those things are really, really important. You know, you can't say you're for the people, by the people, and then act like a board of shadowy figures. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. So you have somebody's holding the AUX coin or the AGX coin, and they come to you and they say, well, we want to exchange it for actual metals. You know, I would like to have my part in gold or in silver. Is that a viable possibility, or is that not something that you guys are going to do?
No, absolutely. That's 100% what it's about. Like, you used to be able to do that with the dollar, and you know, we're getting back to that in a sense. Right now, the minimum is 100 ounces, which is not unreasonable for silver. It's a little heavier hands, so to speak, with gold. But the idea here is that, again, as we start reaching critical mass, and the project has been growing considerably this year, and I imagine will continue to grow, we'll be able to offer smaller denominations to that. I would love to get down to the point where we could offer 1 ounce, you know, withdrawals for a physical asset.
And then you would ship it. How would you manage that?
Yeah, we would ship it out. Obviously, we have your member information. We KYC'd, so you know, it's pretty cut and dry where we would ship it out to from there. You'd probably have to foot the bill for the shipping, right? But as long as you're not shipping a whole freight of gold and silver, the price won't probably be too bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously stepping on some toes in the process, or no? You know, based on the current way of doing it, there's big markups in the process. So you're almost circumventing the old brick and mortar way of managing metals.
Yeah, and you know, we're challenging the market. That's what technology largely is not just blockchain is largely all about. It's innovation and disruption. Like I would even argue it's a law of nature, like adapt or die. You know, you know, and you know, that being said, you know, tough guy talk aside, we're here to work collaboratively with people, with bullion dealers, and find ways to integrate with them. It's the same logic that we've applied with our regulatory compliance, right? We are looking to work with regulators, not against regulators, because when you don't work with regulators, it's, you know, you end up in a match in a court, right? And that's not what
or when you attempt to work with regulators for 8 years and they don't do anything, and then you end up in court anyway. Now they're going after SEC is now going after LBRY, LBRY. It's a decentralized video platform. Actually, all of our videos end up over there. We did talk to Jeremy Kaufman. It's kind of a cool thing. Like, you can watch videos, and they have their own token there, and it's actually a very cool thing.
Kind of like Steam.
Yeah, kind of like Steam, but like a better sort of a mousetrap. Like they sort of did it a little bit better. The interface a little better. Then what they did was it was a little complicated, so they rolled it off. That's something called Odyssey, ODYSEE, and which has just a nicer front end on it. It's a little bit more akin to, like, let's say, it's sort of a better YouTube. Really, it looks better. The other one was like, it was okay, but I mean, this new interface they built. And so now they're coming after them. They just SEC filed earlier this week against them. You know,
what's their justification on that one?
That's a good one. You know, I read a little bit about it. You know, I didn't dive exactly into the complaint. Like, I usually would rip that part. And it was funny because the other day I was looking for it on Pacer, and I was going to grab it and knock it down. I actually use LexisNexis or Pacer. And I was like looking around, and then all this squirrel, and I was doing 14 other things, and I never got to it. But it's a whole thing about the token. I mean, the basic complaint is, you know, an unregistered token. I don't know if they're calling it a security. I think they've got some problem with it. I don't even know, but it falls into it doesn't really make any sense.
I mean, I don't want to step on the SEC's toes at all, but like, from my humble outsider's opinion, it does look like they're kind of shooting at anything that seems like an easy target, you know. And it seems like a little bit less like we're protecting investors and a little more like, I want to get my grab, you know, I want my piece of the pie.
Oh, interesting. We haven't said that ever before on the
never, right?
Yeah,
never said that.
Said, go ahead.
No,
well said.
Yeah, I mean, proof is in the pudding, really. Like, all these complaints are pretty sizable, and it's not like cryptocurrency is like this really foreign concept anymore. Like, okay, we're not at critical mass adoption yet, you know, it's not ubiquitous with payments quite yet, but you'd have to really try hard to be completely clueless about it and to not have some understanding that these are high risk assets, and that investing in general is all about assuming risk. So really, the onus is kind of on you, the individual. That's you know, so I kind of just squint and go, really, when I see investors make complaints like that.
I've got a question for you on the SEC. But I just want to bring this up, Jackie. It's actually Thursday night.
I just sent her a message. Like,
Jackie, it's Thursday.
She's like, I just want to bring that up. I felt like it was Friday all week, so I know what you're feeling.
I think we just
Easter weekend.
What's that?
It's Easter weekend, so it might as well be Friday.
That's right. She was in party mode, and she's like, whoa.
It's Friday. Oh, it's not Friday. Oh, come on. Another work day tomorrow. Well, it's Good Friday tomorrow, so a lot of people have off.
That's right. It's Friday somewhere in the world.
So here's a big question for you, you know, as it relates to how the SEC is relating to your project, but in Canada. Never really asked this question. We haven't had the chance yet to ask someone building a project in Canada relative to Canada. Does any of these SEC guidance actually have any impact on you in Canada if you're not operating in the US?
Well, I mean, we, in general, Canada and the United States have a pretty tight working relationship. We generally tend to like you guys and work collaboratively, not just from a persona perspective, but from
Right.
treaties and contracts and so on and so forth that have been longstanding. That said, LODE is a really distributed operation. I work as a service provider for LODE. I work as part of a technology consultancy fulfilling the role of COO within the project out of Canada. However, the distributors and the actual issuers of the assets are regulated and issue out of the European region, right? So this is part of the reason why we have all these corporate bodies. So for me, as a Canadian, it doesn't really impact me.
It does.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. Now I saw there's an address in Liechtenstein and one in Switzerland.
Yeah. So Liechtenstein has a really clear blockchain act, which is really nice. So that acts as our headquarters for security assets and the like. So we may produce new, interesting, potentially equity-driven derivatives, etc. Anything like that we might produce in the future as an operation, that'll probably come out of Switzerland. When it comes to issuing, the actual digital gold and digital silver, we do that through a relationship with CM Equities, again, regulated MiFID II bank under the BaFin, right, which is one of the highest regulatory bodies in Europe. So, Liechtenstein, yeah.
Jeff was there. We did a whole video on Liechtenstein.
I was there last November. What a great place! Tiny, not very big.
Not very big.
But, no,
I wanted to go check out the what was it on the hill on the mountain there, the little where the
prince's palace. So he actually lives there.
To hang.
So you can walk around the outside. It's amazing views from where the prince lives. I mean, just looks down at everything. And the day we were there, they happened to have a fair going on. So it's even better, so they had the fair stuff set up with the bumper cars and the shooting gallery and, food and beer and drinks. Oh, it's great. Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to actually do some traveling again sometime in the near future.
Right?
Like I'm ready. Like microchip or no, give me the vaccine, boys. I want to go out and live my life.
I have my pocket vaccine right here, by the way. It's called the United States Constitution. That's my vaccine proof. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Oop, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I'm getting antsy, man. I haven't really traveled. I traveled a little bit over this past year, but I feel like we got to go somewhere.
I'm going to Texas for my nephew's wedding.
Nice.
And looking forward to it. I was like so excited to go. I'm like, I'm going to a wedding. It was like normally you'd be like, yeah, it's like an obligatory thing where you're like, yeah, I'm going to a wedding. You're like, chill, man. It's a wedding. Okay, let's not get crazy. It is my nephew. I'm super stoked about that. But he's graduating. He graduates from college and he gets married like 3 days later. I'm like, okay. And
pump the brakes, slow it down. No.
Chill,
that
man.
Said, congratulations to Chip's nephew.
You know what? He's a good kid, and his future wife is probably the smartest human on the planet. She's like number one in her law school, and she's like I'm like, yeah, you're marrying somebody that's incredibly very gifted. So it's really gonna be kind of cool. It's gonna be really great it was funny because he calls me up. He's like, hey, he like pings me. He's like, hey, yeah, what do you think about Doge? He goes, I know you're really into cryptocurrencies, and I know you do the shows, the podcast, and he's like, I'm like all this big preamble. And I'm like, all right, what is it? What is it, Cameron? He's like, hey man, what do you think about Doge? And I started just like laughing. I was like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is like what pulled him in. It wasn't Bitcoin. It wasn't 5,682 of the other coins, which we will call the S coin, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it was Doge, right? The little cute fuzzy little dog. And I was telling my daughter, she's like, at the time, you remember when it was like all that chatter about Doge? It was up and down. Elon Musk was pumping it. She's like, because I always tell her she has to invest at least 15 or 20% of the money she makes. She goes, I know what I'm going to invest in next. What is it? Doge. I'm like, no.
Not Doge.
Like, the good news, you can't buy it right now because everything was like shut down. It was real hard to get.
Well,
all right. So here's. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, this is like when you're somebody like Elon Musk. This is the risk of carrying so much weight. There are real ramifications for the things you say as a pseudo god.
And you know what? He gives 0 Fs every single time. And he's like, if I send this tweet, I might get fined. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Man hits a blunt on the Joe Rogan podcast.
It was crazy, man.
Private again. Like, come on, man.
That was crazy. Someone did
right.
something. Oh, you know what it was? Somebody did a funny. I think I saw a. There's so many weird April Fool's things going around today, but somebody showed one, and it was like Elon Musk joins Ripple's board, and it was him like smoking out in like the boardroom. It was like so funny, man.
Awesome.
Sorry, Jeff, you wanted to get in
All
there.
right, no, yeah. So anyhow,
Let's
yeah,
talk. Let's bring it
I
back.
wanted to bring this
Down to
up.
business.
Here's what I want to bring up. Let's bring
Yeah,
it back
there you
in
go.
line here.
Lambo.
So you're talking about the LODE markets, right? So I'm looking over here on the LODE markets. So it's an actual marketplace.
Yep.
So you go onto the LODE marketplace. Whoops, hang on. There we go. And you can actually rent a Lamborghini in AGX. So
That's
it's
correct.
$17.49 AGX per day in order to rent this Lambo for the weekend, which
Right.
comes out to about $795 for all those that can't do the quick calculation in their head.
Yep.
This is pretty cool. Is this up, active? You could actually go into it. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it's online.
Yeah, we actually we just pushed out our member stores feature as well. So people, if you are an e-commerce individual and you like gold and silver and you want to start
like it.
retailing your wares in gold and silver, it's really easy to go ahead and get an account started. Like
Nice.
again, yeah, well, like I mean, my really quick elevator pitch for this is we want this thing to become the Amazon of gold and silver. I mean, that takes time, but we have really great partners that have 25 years of experience plus in trade and commerce, and everything from barter exchanges to just straight up partnerships with a lot of these corporate entities. So as the technology comes forward, so too will more exciting opportunities like Lamborghini rentals, hotels, spas, et cetera, et cetera.
This is great.
Yeah, I know, right? As soon as you can travel again, like let's go to Las Vegas.
If I want to show the merch,
I'm right there.
they've got some really nice merch. Can you back it up a little bit? I was looking on my
Yeah.
screen, but again, I don't want to.
Yeah, I'll go to the merch. What I think is interesting, no matter what, the number one trending item are CBD products.
Well, it's interesting as a Canadian, right? Like this is an industry that's really been fought hard against for really no good reason, especially CBD, right? And so they're looking for. I find the industry at large is looking for companies and players that are willing to work with them so they can do their business. And I mean, it's a great product. It's not psychoactive, like so. None of your concerns about drug abuse are really going to come out. It's anti-anxiety, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. Like there's so many benefits of that. Right. So
it's amazing. And here you've got your doctor here. So if you want to pay your doctor or this doctor here, you can do a video visit with Dr. Nancy for 55 AGX.
Yep. Again, what we're starting to do now is pull in members from various barter exchanges, and and these people are already familiar with barter currencies, and this is giving them the opportunity to just extend their legs into a new market. Product is pretty fresh off the boat, so to speak. So there's still a long way to go with the platform, but I think it's been a pretty successful launch so far. And some pretty interesting products. One of our big ambassadors, David Morgan. So if you are a precious metals aficionado, David Morgan's one of the most credible names in the space, and been a long time believer in the project. And he retails his newsletter and alongside his books here on the platform as well.
Is he involved in the project, or is just?
Yeah, he's an ambassador, and he's an investor, a longtime investor, and one of the core believers in the project. He's been very outspoken. He's gone to Anarchapulco and where that shirt came from and spoke.
I love that, man. Look at that. It says hashtag stick it to the man, power to the people. Nice, man. It's very cool. Anyway, I just thought I would show that. It's cool.
Where'd you find that? Where'd you find the merch store?
I don't know.
Did I miss it?
I don't know. It's in there. It's in there.
It's in there somewhere. I don't know. I just
Was it under clothing or something? Clothing accessories?
I don't know. No, you know what? It's at the very top. It says AGX/LODE, and it says there's a picture of a girl like wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
I see it on the very top. Put it back on the screen. Here, put it back.
Put it back.
Put one back. This.
Yeah, we're always coming up with new merch as well. I think that's like a fun
right here.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. Click on that. That's it, man. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then you got your polo shirts for when you want to go play golf.
There you go.
You have a really good line of hats.
There you go. Power to the people. Stick it to the man.
I like that hashtag stick it to the man. That's badass right there.
Glad to get it
Cool. So you guys are building like a cool little ecosystem, a whole way to
it really is an entire payments ecosystem, right? Like the mobile wallet right now is really good for purchasing digital gold and silver, but we've already got Ethereum support, USDC in there, Syscoin obviously because we're built on it. Bitcoin's coming up next. It's gonna be able to support most of your large run of the mill cryptocurrencies on there, but beyond that, we're going to be enabling a lot of direct banking features as well, so that people can pay their bills with gold and silver and crypto, and conduct their business, as I mentioned earlier, with gold and silver and crypto, and settle to whatever currency is going to work best, and easily have that liquidity to go back to cash as you need it. Because again, don't get me wrong, wealth appreciation is great, speculation is great, but I get really pumped about the idea of practical usage of this as a currency, right? Not just as something to sit on and wait for appreciation.
Interesting.
There's a lot of yeah. I mean, and we in the West, okay. So even though the United States dollar depreciates, sure, so does it in most developed nations, right? Fiat currencies, but it goes so slowly that it's like a frog boiling in water. We don't really notice, so we feel safe. But developing nations, places that live in dictatorships or have hyperinflationary currencies, they have felt need with something with inherent value. Venezuela was a great example. They ran to Bitcoin Dash and stuff like that. But the problem with that is if market sentiment shifts on Bitcoin one day, you're back in another situation where you're now again trying to scramble and figure out, your margins get cut or crushed, so to speak, and it becomes complicated versus gold and silver, which comparably move very slowly. They're much more stable. Their purchasing power has stood the test of time, for lack of a better phrase. And it's a universal standard. You can go anywhere in the world and people will be able to tell you what an ounce of gold or silver is worth, right? So there is a logic that in the underbanked, in the world of developing nations, that there's a real merit to using a currency like this, right?
Have you tested it in any of the countries? Look at Nigeria. They're moving. There's a lot of movement right now into stable coins. You look at what happened in Lebanon with the run on the banks. So, and then you saw a lot of people putting money into Bitcoin. If you go to Turkey, they did the same thing. So there's a lot of countries around the world. Venezuela, they saw, hyper inflation on everything there, and then a devaluation of the real down to, in the millions of percent. And so have you reached out to any countries or any people? Do you have projects right now where you see it?
Yeah, we're active in over 100 different countries. And right now what we're doing is we're setting up partners who can help us with distribution in each area. I think, and I'm not crapping on any other projects out there, but I think it's a mistake if your only distribution model is just going to an exchange and hoping for the best. You're missing the wider breadth of your
and there's some exchange tokens that have done pretty well with just that. Like we know what their use case is. If you use their token, you can pay less fees on their exchange.
Binance Coin and stuff.
I didn't want to say it, but I'm just saying.
No. And look how that blew up. That came from double digit up to, look, it's almost at 300.
For sure. And I mean, I'll answer your question, Robert, in just a minute there.
All right, throw it back down. Let me know when you're ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So my point is like, if you're something big like Binance and you have a built-in audience like that, that's great. But your local bodega down the road probably isn't trading crypto and isn't super sophisticated in crypto, and probably wants a trusted source that they can go to have a stabilized currency in their life. And so exchanges are a great medium to access some audiences, but there are lots of people, for example, in the world of the underbanked, who don't even have bank accounts to go buy things online. So how do you access those people, right? It's tricky. And those are the kind of discussions we're having right now. Now, I'd love to answer Robert's question.
Okay, Robert says, what's the benefits of letting you hold my silver now versus down the road?
Well, I mean, okay, so when you hold your silver, you have to find somebody to sell it to, right? And that'll be your bullion dealer, and they're going to probably, give you a couple of percentage points under spot. That being said, you hold it with us, you can instantly trade it at whatever the market rate is on exchanges. So it's pretty cut and dry. You're going to get a much better rate, and you're probably going to keep a couple points in terms of your profit margins on your way out there. So I think that's a really compelling thing. You don't have to pay vaulting. It's not taking up space in your house. Again, it's really liquid, so you can use it practically if you ever wanted to. But if you're looking for wealth preservation, I think the reasons that I just stated are pretty decent and reasons to justify the use case for digital gold and silver. Again, not having to deal with the burden of the physical asset, paying for vaulting fees, et cetera, et cetera. That in of itself, I think, is a worthy justification.
Yeah. Now, when you're holding the asset, obviously representation of the AGX or the AUX, are you giving any form of, other than that, is there any kind of documentation that you can then go and see? Do you see the representation of your asset somewhere on the blockchain? So you can say, hey, I've got this AGX and it's minted over here on the blockchain and it's connected to an asset that is held in, Toronto.
Wow. That's a great question. And you know what? It's not easy technology to build because it relies on third parties and fourth parties. So for example, like we have to build this technology and then make our vaulting partners implement that with every order of silver that comes in, which is perhaps outside of we're just one client of these vaulting partners that we work with, right? So it's a big ask on their part. But that kind of technology we like to call our vault signer technology, and we are working towards it. And essentially pretty close to what you described. I wouldn't be surprised if you just opened up our one of our internal documents there and just read it out word for word, because that's the kind of stuff that's going to give people confidence. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, that transparency.
Yep.
So we're going to start with having better, more consistent vaulting reports, annual audits available for people, and then escalating that by then adding the being able to see where every gram denomination comes from essentially mine to minting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I like it.
In the EU, there is VAT paid for every investment silver buy. How do you solve that taxation? Well, it's only taxed on when you redeem it.
Okay, so
we actually just had a discussion about this with our lawyers today. So legally in Europe, these are classified as pickup slips for the precious metals, right? So long as you hold them, so long as you hold them, they're still considered, the assets are unredeemed assets, right? And so you're not being charged for that VAT until the point of redemption.
I thought so the value added tax only. So that's kind of interesting, because I know sometimes when you make a purchase, because I've purchased stuff and traveled Europe, it was always on your purchase, but you're saying this is different because the value, in other words, you haven't done anything yet until you actually move that value out, right? When you actually sell it.
Exactly.
Redeem it. Gotcha. That's interesting.
Right. So we're able to get around the VAT for that. And that
nice.
Again, is another justification for why this digital silver is more compelling than your physical stuff, because you can avoid that taxation.
That's a nice one. Good question, Sir John. Got another one here. Majestic. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. He says, is it possible to secure crypto with insurance as a State Farm? What? Crypto? Oh, this is a crypto question. Sorry about that. I thought that was it is not necessarily, I don't think so. Crypto, or for example, if we were looking at your typical insurance, State Farm, I actually use USAA. It's you have auto insurance, it's typical homeowners insurance and stuff like that. State Farm, they have home and auto, but there really isn't a digital asset insurance yet that I know of. Do you guys have anything, that concept up in Canada, where you can insure your own, your custody crypto?
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head. I think the closest company I probably saw to that was Salt back a little while ago. That was probably the closest thing to that concept, but still not quite it. It's a good one though. There's a use case. Somebody write that down. That's a good. Let's go raise.
It could be interesting.
In New York.
I mean, that would be like trying to get insurance from State Farm on your portfolio, on your stock portfolio. Yeah. Whereas the stock exchange might, but you guys are insured. Outside of the crypto space, if you're holding, investment on your platform in your wallet, then you're covering it, right? You have insurance.
Yeah, we do have insurance on the precious metals, and this is the nice thing as well, right? Because of the Syscoin blockchain, they're working on things called pre-compliance and stuff like that, which is really about preventing fraud and bad behavior. So let's say there ever was a hack and somebody got a hand on some handle on some AGX or AUX, right? We're building technology that allows exchanges to be notified of these assets when they go out into the wild, capture them, and then freeze those assets. But what's nice is even if we couldn't, at the end of the day, the silver is still in the vault, right? We would, you know, and that's what the real asset is. The blockchain representation is just a digital representation of that asset. The metals aren't insured at the end of the day, and if tokens need to get burned, so be it, right? We'll mint new ones.
I want to put this question up because I know you already kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
But who funds the LODE project, the company, venture capitalist? Sorry if you already answered.
And who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
We can never tell.
So LODE is for the people, by the people. We are very grassroots, right from the get-go, and you can still participate and claim your stake in LODE today. You know, we are working to engage with some regulated raises in the near future under the SEC. Those are different offerings than what we've presently have available, and those will probably target more high net worth institutional players, because we're trying to go up toe to toe up against some of the biggest, baddest dogs in the spaces, the Visas, the MasterCards, and the PayPals and Venmos of the world. And to do that, you need substantial capital. But our LODE token will always be open and available to individuals, you know, for the people, by the people at our core. You know, that's what we're about.
Yep. So here's another question here from Mr. K. Are you looking to establish local offices in other regions, such as the Asia Pacific? He's saying that he can get a big safe. It might be in his house, but
right. Mr. K. So we're always interested in reaching out into new regions and engaging with people who are really excited about bringing precious metals money to the world. You know, bringing honest money back to the forefront. So, you know, reach out to us. We're a really friendly group, and we're, you know, no one is unwelcome. And let's have a conversation. Let's see if the shoe fits, right?
And by the way, guys, just so you know, right down there, Nick's contact information's there. You can go to the website. You can also follow Nick out on Twitter. Maybe it's not a bad idea to reach out to him on Twitter if you guys want to hit him up. But
Yeah,
also,
come yell at me at all the things I got minorly wrong on today's podcast.
just go bug him, man. Just go DM that living daylights out of him. You know, just go hit him up a little bit. But yeah, that's great. And I know Serjan's still talking about it. He says that, you know, buying gold is tax-free, but buying silver is VAT taxed over there. So he's in Croatia.
Yeah. And
he's like, that's why I asked. So he's not sure about, you know, bullion or paper. But anyway, I just wanted to say to anybody, if it's your first time here, like, subscribe, click that notification bell. That way you're notified when we go live. We do go live 6 days a week. Is it 6 days a week, Jeff? Just checking. Yeah, we take off Friday because I'm thinking it's like 5 because I don't do the Saturday. Jeff does it all by himself on Saturday, and people are like,
Saturday morning, 8 a.m.
I'm usually on the lanai by the pool drinking a cup of really good espresso.
Watching the show.
Well, I like to interact with the people in the chat too. It's fun. So,
man of the people.
He is a man of the people.
I'm a man of the people, Nick. I like it. It's fun, right? And Nick, really, man, really, what a great, you know, how the hour went by so fast. But I really want to appreciate Jeff and I really want to thank you for coming on here. It's a cool project, man, and you did a very good job, elegant job of like explaining it and hammering every, you know, taking every question. So it was really outstanding. So thank you for coming on.
Well, I mean, flattery will get you most places. That said, I really do appreciate you guys having me on the show today. It's really nice to talk with enthusiasts such as yourself. If we are wrapping up, maybe I can say a few words.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we always give you the last word, man.
Absolutely. So, you know, you know, there are a lot of Bitcoin maximalists out there, and there are a lot of people who are like do or die, you know, all in or all out. We don't believe that necessarily everything you own has to be gold and silver. We're not saying that at all, but we're saying prudent financial planning and history has shown that gold and silver are some of the most trusted assets out there when it comes to preserving your wealth, and that they have a healthy place in, I think, everybody's portfolio and in their lives. And it's up to you to determine where that fit is. But if you don't have a digital strategy yet, and if you're just thinking about it, if you're just tipping your toes, come over, say hi to us at LODE.one. And you know, I'll say this about the crypto market at large: it is the biggest wealth generation event of our lifetimes. We will probably not see something like this again, and I want everybody along for the ride. I don't want no man left behind, no woman left behind on this journey. So come say hi to us. And once again, it's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen.
Just threw
Awesome.
LODE.1 in there, guys, so you can click on that. Go click on it right now. That way, you should be looking around for later. It's
Check it
also
out.
listed below in the description, everybody. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Nick, really cool having you here, man. And then stick around while we Jeff, we want to
Let's I just want to thank everyone for being here. Appreciate everyone taking their evening out. Nick, appreciate you coming on with us over here, you know, getting this all set up. This was great covering the project. You know, we'd love to have you back on again. And, you know, we'll talk to you a little bit, you know, off camera. We also do a virtual meetup. We had an amazing on the chain sponsored virtual meetup last Sunday. We're planning another one for next month as well. And we'd love to have guests that show up there. But again, Nick, thank you. Chip, as always, I'm not going to see you tomorrow. I won't see you Saturday, but I'll see you back here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday night. Maybe not, because it's Easter. We're taking Easter off too, right?
That's right. We're not gonna.
It's gonna be Monday. We're not gonna see you guys for Friday. I'll be here Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We'll be back Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chips frozen. We'll be here exclusively on the chain.
See you on the next one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.